Well, hey, and we are live once again on a Thursday evening here in the UK. We are going to be looking at a trade I took yesterday. We'll be looking at the Edgepool platform in general. We're going to be looking at a few reports and how we might be potentially trading live tonight in the last half an hour of the market. It is unfortunately very warm here in the UK, so I'm sweating a lot, but that's okay. What am I doing? Right, so put that there. Just wait a little while before people kind of come in. Today's price action, we'll go over that first. This is the SPY. It tends to be what I kind of trade with Edgepool platform, and sometimes I do trade the Qs, but more often than not, I do trade just the SPY. So let's go ahead and just get that up, shall we, while we're here. So report inputs, I mean, you can go home, but I tend to just sit on reports, which is this tab up here. What I might do, should I put that full screen? No, I think we established last week that doesn't do anything. Okay, so futures, obviously we're not futures, it's a stock. It automatically populates SPY, but I've also got a watch list here, which is really handy. So I can switch to Google, I can switch to Apple if I like, I can switch to Tesla. And it'll bring up the data for, so I've currently got gap fill on for Tesla, for example, and it says today at 77% filled if the gap is going up. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about SPY first. So yeah, tap on the watch list. And also you can use the bookmarks here in the subprime icon just to go straight to whichever report. So you don't have to go into here and start scrolling through and not being able to find it. It's pretty handy if you just pop over here and smash the power hour breakout on. So zoom in a bit so you can kind of see. Oh, I just realized I am there. So you may not be able to see what I just did. Let me move me down there. There you go. I'm down there now. So we are on the power hour breakout report. This is like a general one for the last 6 months. I tend to whittle it down to the day. So choose sub report here and then by weekday, and it'll automatically populate Thursday for you. After a bit of loading, I am in a different room today. So the internet might be different. Not bad, but just different. Apparently it's waiting for power hour, which is interesting because it's 8:30. Oh well. So the new high of day and new low of day are both 20% likely not to happen, and it looks like we're kind of almost trying to do that now. So you can see the power hour. The high of the day is actually set up here. So 645.54, which is the blue line kind of flowing through the screen there. And that data actually holds because there wasn't a new high of day made. So that 20% is still very much 20%. I mean, it's not mean to say we've got 25 minutes left of the market, and we've got kind of a good uptrend going on here. And this actually, what I'm going to do, draw that there. This is very similar to what happened yesterday. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but I just want to see if there's a potential opportunity coming here. Just because we do have that similar sort of trend line. In fact, I'll just have yesterday in view there so you can kind of see the bottom of the trend line just above my head. Yesterday we had the trend line going into the close, similar to what we've got now. A little bit of price actually coming down to the kind of trend line area and the moving averages. What I did yesterday was actually open up a different report, which is similar to the power hour, but it's a power hour continuation. And what this does is, did I select the right microphone? This would be hilarious if I... No, didn't. There you go. I might be a bit clearer now. Sorry about that. Well, it's all valuable. So what this report is, basically when power hour starts, the candles going into that hour is where the data starts from. So, for example, when power hour starts, the last hour, 83%, closed green if the candle was green going into it. So, for example, today We are green going into power hour. This is where the power hour data will start on that kind of area 64459. And obviously 83% of the time it's stayed above this level, which is good. It's exciting. So what we could do is enter a trade here at the kind of touch of the trend line, and place a stop loss below kind of that level, essentially, because that's where the data lies. And of course, the target price would, of course, be high of day. But using the other report, the power hour breakout report, you know that 20% of the time it doesn't go above that, then your target price would just be somewhere here, essentially. So let's draw that out. I think I've got the long one on. Yeah, so you want to do that, and then your stop loss would be underneath there. So the risk to reward ratio is not brilliant there, so you wouldn't be entering it. I'd wait for a pullback, probably somewhere down to this sort of area. So it would be here, and obviously the stop loss there. That's more of a 2-to-1, which is pretty good, especially with 20 minutes to go in the market. So you can see what we've done there. We've kind of put two different reports together: the power hour continuation report, which is the candles going into the hour, and the power hour breakout report, which means the likelihood of there being another high of day in this particular scenario. Now, with that, I think it's important to, I'm not going to take the trade because I'm in the middle of talking, and also it's already moving in that direction. So we'll just take that for what it is. What we do is we move into yesterday's trade, the explanation that I have around it. I wish I could just kind of get rid of that box. Maybe I could just put a, I know you can do some stuff with time and things like that, but maybe I could just, no, that's not right. Whoop, what have I done there? Anyway, I'll just talk to it. I'm just very aware that there's lots of things on the screen. I'm going to try and just do that. Yeah, that could work. Let's do that. So yesterday, obviously, similar to what I was saying about today, we had a trend line kind of going throughout the day, and then focus on this little circle here, which is quite a key moment there for us. Power hour started here, and we had the power hour continuation report saying 80, I think it was 86%. I can't really remember. I did post it yesterday on X. 86% chance it was going to finish green. So we used that data to, obviously, it had a nice middle move up, but it obviously wasn't the right time to enter here because you're not near the trend line, you're not really on the moving averages. So I waited. Of course, price came up. It actually came back down to this area, which is why I've got the kind of circle here. It's down to where obviously the buyers came in here. So that's 1 point of confluence. It's down to the trend line, 2 points of confluence. 20 moving average, which is what we like on the smaller time frames, especially in this scenario. So that's 3 points of confluence. So I took the trade. Of course, it's very sketchy. It is a scalp. You can get punched out of these very easily, given the news, and excuse the seagulls. They're on one at the moment. You can get pulled out of the trade pretty quickly, but of course, you have to stay disciplined. Stop loss would obviously be below this sort of area, but I've just put it below the trend line in this case, obviously. And then my target price was related to the IB levels, which I won't get into too much now, but I'll just bring them up so you can see. Which I don't think I have them turned on. So yeah, the middle levels here. All of these indicators come free with the Edgeful platform. I mean, such like the amount of indicators that are actually good quality indicators is scarily good. It just makes it so much worth it. So much worth it. So worth it. Of course, we have these grey lines then populated, and I simply went for the middle one because this one was obviously not big enough in terms of risk to reward. So I went for the next one up. And, you know, it touched perfectly and came back down afterwards. That's just how sometimes trades work. It was lovely. And we kind of moved from there. So that's the kind of trade that I had yesterday. I'll bring up the, hang on a minute. What I'm going to do is actually pop me like that for a second. I'm going to bring up the details of the actual trade so you can see, but I didn't want to show you all of my files. I just didn't know where I put it. I can't remember where I put it. I put it here. There we go. So I have now the win on the screen for you. There you go. So this is the actual real-time trade that I took yesterday. I can try and get it on the screen, perhaps next to. This is the minute chart. Unfortunately, I couldn't switch it to the 5-minute chart. It doesn't let me on the platform that I use. But to kind of go in line there, you've got the trade taken here, which is obviously that point there on the right side on the actual chart that we're looking at. And then I obviously went for a buy, and then target price was up here, which we triggered just before here. This price action you see afterwards is because I trade the futures version of SPY, just because I don't have the actual SPY. But it's all the same movement, of course. So yeah, I mean, and all of that, I made that money just because of Edgefor. I probably wouldn't have entered at that point had it not been for Edgefor giving me that data, essentially. Let's go back to what's happening today. Yeah, so it looks like we've kind of moved off of this base, but with the Edgefor data, it suggests perhaps that it's not going to finish above this level. So we're kind of going to be trading within this area. But of course, 20% of the time it has gone through there. So there is still 1 in 5 days, essentially, that it has punched through that to the upside. And the market, the way it is at the moment, you just don't know. Love from Bangladesh, good to see you. And then we've got Hello Bro as well from Shafiq Ahmed. Good to see you both. Make sure you're subscribed. I go through live streams, live trading quite a lot, obviously not just with the Edgefor platform, but with my own ideas and things as well. Going alongside that. What else was I going to bring up today? Gap fill report, yes. Got a bit of time to go through that. We'll just kind of let that simmer in the background. What I'm going to do is save that and then move that to Edgefor Day. What you don't know, if you don't know, the on Trading View is actually really handy. Up here, you've got the different almost presets for your charts. And you can go through different ones. I've got swing set up, which is kind of like moving averages and VWAPs and stuff like that. Edgefor Day, Edgefor Night, because Edgefor Night is this trade pattern, so it's the power hour breakouts and IB levels. And then Edgefor Day, which is the other one that I've got going here. I'm not too sure what's happened to all of it. There we go. It's slowly loading in. As I mentioned, I'm in a different room today. So it's still on the 5-minute candle, and this one shows the gap fill report, and it looks like gap fill has happened twice, 2 days in a row, maybe 3. Not quite 3. So what are we on? Thursday. Wednesday on the left, Thursday on the right. And quite simply, you see, let me get rid of some of these lines. It might be a bit easier to see. And I'll get rid of that one as well. So we've just got the gap fill indicator on, and let me show you how to get those indicators. Obviously, when you sign up, you'll get you have to basically put your Trading View name into a certain kind of formish, and then all of these just basically pop up straight for you straight away. So we've got gap fills, we've got initial balances, which is a really good one. Anything starred is pretty good. They're the ones I use, at least. There's lots of different other ones as well that people use. It's tricky as well living in the UK, not being able to trade on the market open because obviously I have a job and all that stuff. So pretty hard. Who knows? Maybe one day I'll leave my job and I can trade Edgefor full time. We'll see. Anyway, let's move on to the gap fill report. So essentially, what you see is this shaded area. This is Tuesday's price action. No, Tuesday's price action. Finished in here, and we gapped up overnight because of obviously, was that CPI that day? No, it's just a general gap up. So it doesn't really matter what you gap up on, but this is the gap up. You see, price action obviously gapped up and then came back down eventually and filled that gap, and that's the yellow line. That's the gap filled. And then the same again today. So we gapped down through bad PPI news, or not bad, but on PPI news, and then we came back up and filled that gap, and obviously produced the yellow line there for the gap fill. Now, how to trade this is obviously interesting. So we're going to have to go off today's data because obviously that's what we're going to have. So today we have this price action. Let me get rid of this. We've already talked through that. We don't need that anymore. So we've got the gap fill here, obviously, as I mentioned, and the gap was down. So let's go back to edge fill. We go to our bookmarks and we go to gap fill. We've still got SPY selected. And like I said, you can do this with Tesla, you can do this with Apple, Microsoft, NVIDIA, loads of different indicators just to kind of scroll through and type them all in, as you can see in this little box here. Okay, so stock, SPY, gap fill, brilliant. You can see that the gap size was 0.32%. Obviously, it's told you already that the 100% has already been, 100% of the gap has been filled, as you would expect. Right, so we need to change this fill percentage to 100%, which I always forget how to do all this. There we go. And what this means is changing this is when the gap fills, that's 100% of the gap. If you selected 50%, then you would be looking at whatever half of 32 is, 16. So you'd be looking at 16. Is it 16? Yeah, it's 16. Whoa, mental maths. That shouldn't be that hard though, Sean. Anyway, yeah, so that'd be 0.16% if you had the 50% fill on. Hopefully you're getting me here. And that would be represented in the gap fill being here, because obviously that's half of the gap fill as you see it. Okay, so back to the report, we want to go back to 100%, which is here. Save. So the 100% fill is 61% likely that it will be filled. That's based on data in the last 6 months and every single day. So what we can do is actually move that by a weekday. So it will filter out all the Thursdays in the last 6 months and give you a 50% chance of that gap filling of that percentage. It's a pretty big percent really for SPY to open up with. I mean, not huge, but it is, I would say, probably bigger than normal, or typical at least, I guess. So what we want to do here is kind of whittle down where we want it to go. So we can see in the previous day, we've had lots of resistance around this area. Let me just go ahead and color that. For the purpose of this video, let's go for bright red. Is that good? No, maybe not. Okay, let's be fine. Red is good. We'll go here. Lots of different touches at this level, and obviously the gap down to there would probably be about, it's hard to know exactly, but with that box, I've got to roughly figure out what percentage that is. So here, well, you can see the lines actually, that's 50%. So you're probably looking at about 40%, slightly under. So you want a 40% fill for sure. And of course, you can bring it down as well, depending on what your risk appetite is, maybe here-ish, which is obviously just under, well, that would be 50%. So let's go to 50%. Customize, fill percentage to 50% of the gap. And then you get it repopulated from just 57% to 79% filled. So on a Thursday, every Thursday in the last 6 months that has had this gap fill, thereabouts, has been filled 80% of the time, pretty much, 79, whatever. So you know that 80% of the time, this stock price that starts down here is going to retrace back up to this level. Not bad. The thing I'm working out at the moment is where to have that stop loss. Now, of course, it's very clear at the moment you would have previous day high and low as your, I don't think I had that on this particular day chart. No, so I just had to draw it. So previous day high and low, previous day high is here. And then previous day low would have been obviously this yellow line that we've got there. So depending on when you want to start that trade, maybe not in the first 5 minutes because you would have been triggered out of that. Obviously your stop loss would be a bit below anyway, but you may well have been triggered below that. So maybe give it 10, 15 minutes or so before you get into that. But then by the time you've done that, it's already kind of moved. So it's a tricky one to kind of get into, but you kind of get the idea of how to maneuver it. But obviously with a bit of practice and maybe a bit more analysis with some different other reports as well. So for example, you could use the opening range breakout, which basically recovers the first 15 minutes. So you can have a little look at that. I'm not going to go into that too much detail tonight, just because kind of running out of time in the market. But when you do sign up, obviously you do have explanation videos here on the screen, and then just below that you've got the visual explanation as well. So you can go ahead and screenshot that, stick it on your phone, and then obviously learn about it when you're kind of out and about with friends or whatever. So yeah, I mean, the ultimate point of this is you can use multiple reports to gain the information that you want. Let's go back to Edgefield Night, because obviously that's where I do most of my business. So many lines, it's funny. Let's get rid of that. So you can see what we spoke about earlier, which was it's not going to break the highs of the day, 20% chance of it not doing that. And you can see there's 1, 2, 3 points in the last 45 minutes or so where it just hasn't done that. Quite incredible, really. I still think we do make a little push into the close, just because the way the market is. We'll get rid of that because I didn't take the trade. But yeah, we just kind of watch this into the close now. I did put the Tesla and Nvidia, I think, in this stream notes. So let's go ahead and look at that. So for that, I would move to swing. As you can see here, this swing bit here, the preset. And then let's go to Tesla. Indigestion. Still looking good. We've broken the trend line fully, which is great. So let's zoom in. Just looking for a bit of stability, maybe a bit of consolidation here. We just ultimately need to hold 320, that sort of area, this zone here. Just need to hold that, especially going into next week. I know we're on Thursday, pretty much Friday, but anything can happen in a day, especially with Tesla. But if we can hold that area kind of going into next week, that would be ideal. Ultimately, of course, I want 420, which is still over 20% away. 334, yeah, something like that. Yeah, but I wouldn't be buying it here. I mean, I know it looks good because we've got the previous resistance here, but I just think with the volatile nature of this asset, I would want something below it. And of course, you've got the volume profile and a couple of moving averages there, which helps for Tesla. Let me know what you're looking at as well, what stocks you're looking at. Won't be able to go through them today, but I'm happy to, if I put them in the comments or something like that, I can go through some charts and obviously give my analysis and thoughts, which I have done in the past, and I will continue to do so. Let's look at the video while we're here, before we close out the stream into market close. Really nice performance today, especially with this trend line, you can see. So trend line starts way back in April with the market dip. Well, it was a bit more of a dip, wasn't it? But the market scare, shall we say. It's just kind of not looked back since. Really nice, consistent trend line all the way up. Just threatened a little bit to break it today, but really nice price action to kind of regain above that. And you think if the market's going to go up, it's going to need, stocks like Apple, Nvidia, Microsoft, all that to kind of go up as well. Okay, let's see how today is going to end. Are we going to get that new all-time high, which is a 20% chance of doing, going into that? I need to clean up this chart. Do you ever get... Yes, there you go. I did think it might have a little bit of a push into the close, but we'll see how far that lasts. Previous day's high is definitely a target for people if you are trading into the close here. And this is why I didn't take the trade initially, especially the power hour breakout report, just because of the nature of the market. Sometimes you just don't, okay? You have to kind of get a feel for how the day's gone, Initial balance. I want to take out the middle lines there because there's too many lines going on. So I'm kind of rounding this up in the last 5 minutes. Then, if you watch this back, maybe perhaps a little bit later on, or maybe tomorrow with a cup of tea, or how English of me, a cup of coffee. I don't even drink tea much anymore. If you drink it with a cup of coffee, watch it back, especially the first kind of 15 minutes or so. It gives you a really good indication of how to use the power hour breakout report alongside the power hour continuation report. I think they're both very powerful reports, especially if you use them both. Like we kind of did today in a way, but more so yesterday. Yeah, look, so we've actually broken all-time, I keep saying that. It is actually all-time highs as well. We have broken day highs. So that report here, where is it? Power hour breakout report. That will then add to the 28%. Because, you know, another one is on the notch. So you can see this is the written version of the chart you see here, and it will just basically put another one on that, so it'll be 36. If it hasn't done it already, it might have done it already. I wasn't really paying attention to that. Yeah, that's why. Yeah. What have we got left? Got about 3 minutes left to the close. What have we got going on? I mean, yeah, let me know if you have any questions around the Edgepool platform. Obviously, I don't cover every single report, but that's the great thing about it. You can look at it, and it just tells you what every report is about. That's how I learned all the reports. No one told me. They gave me an indication, but really easy to learn. And they've got a free Discord as well, so it's always worth having a look at that. I don't look at it too much. I've got too much going on. It's hard to keep up with it all. But I understand that people like a community. I want to keep that on, actually, the previous day's range, because I think that could be a target heading into the last couple of minutes here. I know it seems a bit outlandish all the way up here, but sometimes you do get that nice little push into the close. Yeah. That's been fun. It's been another good session. Really enjoyed it. Unfortunately, we didn't manage to take a trade tonight. But that's how it goes. You know, you can't always be trading. If you start forcing trades, that's where errors are made. That's where accounts are lost. We don't want to lose accounts, of course. I've been there. I've lost a few accounts myself. I've got a fully funded account now, and I'm making the most of it, of course. So, and only, you know, Edgepool is only going to help that in terms of probabilities. Yeah, that's been fun. Like I said, let me know if you've got any questions. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, which I am on now, which I probably should have said at the beginning and maybe not in the last minute, but oh well. There we go, pushing into the close. Doesn't know what it's doing, does it? I wonder what the 1 minute chart. This is why, this is why I like to have the moving averages on. It's going to give a really nice feel of how the market's going. At the moment, up. So into the last minute, we can see a nice big drop that we've got here. People are selling it a little bit. There's always a bit of drama in the last couple of minutes. Cool. Well, we'll end it there. Got 8 seconds left in the market, and we're just going to be closing this sort of area. Look for this trend line to break if this continues post-market. So, yeah, thanks for joining, everyone, and take care. See you next week.